Listen, you think what you want is your problem solved, and you do. And yes, it's not bad. But I want to give you sort of an understanding as to why you have your problems in the first place, right? So we see the world around us. We see people of differing body types, skin tones, class statuses, and more specifically, life situations. People with good lives, people with terrible lives, people with in between lives, people who maybe from even the outside look perfect, people from the inside that maybe look terrible, and even reverse, right? People who we think we have everything, but we see them and they're depressed and they end up committing, and people whom we think are, oh, look at them, the poor people, and they're just so ecstatic. They're so full of joy. And there's something about this. There's something about when you can look at a person, you can look at someone who's a farm boy in a different country village, but who's laughing, a boy who's just laughing, doesn't have even have shoes to his name, right? But it's just happy because he has family. You can see a CEO, billions of dollars, and you can literally see the disease on their body. I had the best access to healthcare, the best drugs, the best everything, but like you can tell they're so out of alignment that they're literally decomposing. That no matter what, that they're not in union with who they are. You want to manifest, or you want some high spiritual gain, or you want enlightenment, or you want a good relationship, or you want money. The funny thing is, if you understand anything about new and non-duality, these are all the same. As in to say that you want good and you don't want bad. And all of these on some varying levels are what we consider good. Oh, if I'm liberated, I no longer suffer. Oh, if I see God, then I have made the mission of my life. Oh, if I have a bunch of money, I'll never have any problems. Or if I have this relationship, I'll feel fulfilled and whole and connected. Dot, 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 dot. But there's one constant, there's one thing really that you're not looking at. Because you're not looking at it, you'll miss it. You'll spend your entire life searching for all of these things, and you will get to the end of your life wasted. And that's you. That's the person in the mirror. Because you have to fundamentally understand that it all hinges on you. And specifically, what you believe. What you've agreed to. If you can get to a point where, well, let's just say this. Let's start off this way. Everything in your life is the way it is because you have signed contracts. You've signed your name. You've signed for it, but not consciously. It was kind of, you could say it was a little dirty trick. You didn't really get the fine print. You didn't get the understanding that, and this is why, you can't really blame you. You can't really blame yourself for it. You can't be say like, oh, well, this is victim blaming me to say that I create my problems. No, because what we're not saying is that you deserve or that you knew what you were doing and you did it anyway for whatever reason. That's victim blaming. Reality is just, as human beings, we come into the world. And we come into the world with the ability set, but not the knowledge. And that ability is that we are electromagnetic beings, and the world appears or is attracted or is magneted to us based off of our frequency. And that frequency is determined primarily by our beliefs and our thoughts and our emotions. These are the core, because the beliefs kind of generate these. The beliefs generate the thoughts, and the thoughts generate the emotions, and the emotions are this power that pulls the things over, if you think of it that way. And we get our beliefs from the world around us. For whatever reason, malicious or ignorance, those beliefs are about limitation, scarcity, lack, fear, hatred, bigotry. Because they were about the idea that we're weak animal flesh beings, that if we aren't cruel, if we aren't scared, if we're not lying, if we're not greedy, we will get taken advantage of. So it's either take advantage of others or not be taken advantage of, or it's to people please or slave our way or be or almost put up our asses to power, so that way we can at least voluntarily be fucked, but then feel as if we're doing, at least we're safe, right? That's the being a pick me, that's being a token, that's being a people pleaser. It's being inauthentic to who you are and changing for acceptance and validation. That's what we have as a problem, because we come from a belief that, well, love is limited, health is limited, money is limited, right? Well-being, joy, happiness, peace is limited, and it's limited by other people. So if we can just either get with the people who have it or take it from them or keep us from losing it, then we'll be happy. And then you can look into the world and see what problems that cause. The amount of death, destruction, mayhem, and dissatisfaction around the world because of these beliefs that are fundamentally not based in reality. See, the true reality is that you are a magnetic being and you can magnetize in this infinite universe whatever it is you want, and that there is no conflict with anyone ever. And from here, from the beginning to the end of this universe, there have never been a necessity for you to be in conflict to get the things that you want. And the things that you want are love, peace, happiness, joy. They just appear physically. There has never been. And fundamentally, I'll say this too, never from the beginning of time till the end of the universe were you ever able to gain those things at the expense of someone else, and particularly at the expense of yourself, right? This is the most important, at the expense of ourselves. Never. So you want to get love, peace, joy, happiness, bliss. You want that to come into the form of money, a partner, a community, and a nice environment, nature, good health, right? You want these things to be the representations of those. Fine. You have to choose them. And this sounds maybe a little, I'm not going to say complicated, but I know for a lot of people, this will be a little confusing, because you think that's what you're doing. We think that if we are wanting these things and we're going after these things and we're working really hard, or we're doing either good or bad things to get them, right? We may be praying to God, we may be helping people, or maybe scamming people, and I don't know, praying to demons, whatever it is. We're doing something to get a thing. We think we're choosing, because we've been taught choosing is to go after. No. Choosing is simply deciding it's yours. But what does this mean? What does that decision look like? Deciding, okay, I decided. Where is it? See, the decision comes from the idea that, okay, I'm not going to settle for anything else. I'm not going to allow those things to be. And when we say settle, you mean to just accept that, well, there's nothing else I can do. I have to accept this later one. I'll go for this because I know I can't get it. Deciding is, even if there's no way that it looks that you'll get it, knowing that it's still yours. Meaning that, okay, well, I want this amount of money. I don't even live in a country where I think I can do that. That may be even impossible for me, but I'm going to decide anyway. Deciding really means that you're not really rejecting reality, but you're looking at the reality as it stands, and you're understanding one thing, that it's a fluid, energetic motion. It's electromagnetic, meaning that it's not solid. So therefore, you're looking at the reality and be like, okay, the reality is this way, but I know it's not stuck this way. So what I want can in fact happen. I'm just not going to allow the reality to change my decision, right? You say, okay, well, I want this, but because I live in this area, because I live in this country, because I live like this, because I have this sort of body, because I don't have this access to information, because this is what the world looks like, I'll stop deciding I want this, so I'll go for something else. The decision is, okay, that's what everything looks like, but everything up there can change, because one, it was never that way to begin with. It wasn't like that forever, so it doesn't have to be that way forever. Fundamentally, though, not just that. It's not just that it can change, but that it does change all the time. The problem is you keep deciding that because you're seeing what's basically an after effect, you keep almost looping it. It's almost like how you loop a video back to the beginning again and again and again. Think about a TikTok. It will loop back into the beginning until you change. You keep allowing this material universe to dictate to you internally, and so the internal world just looks like the material universe that it is, and then therefore it reproduces. That's why the generational curses, the cycles, we can't seem to change one thing about society, no matter how much you vote, fight, revolutionize, organize, because fundamentally you're still projecting outward. Think about it this way. Action brings births, they can say midwife's energy. Action is the delivery system of whatever you energetically felt. So the reason why you can work so hard and still be broke is because all that energy is doing is birthing your brokenness, your lack of relationships, loves, all these wars. We can do diplomacy all we want, but if we have in our minds and hearts that, oh, well, there's nothing that can change, your diplomacy will birth war. Even if the goal is peace, which means first you have to change within. You have to decide internally that, okay, no matter what, my goal is this, and this is my reality. What means is whenever you take an action, which is why there's no real point in focusing on the actions will happen naturally, because they'll have to bring forth your vision, because that's what is always happening. See, you think you have a problem with manifesting, that you can't manifest your reality, you can't create your reality, but that's not true, because you're always creating it. Your problem was never manifesting or creating it. It was what you were creating, what you were manifesting. And that was not dictated by your actions. That was always dictated by your internal state. Your actions will always happen by definition. There's no way it can't. It can't not happen. The actions, they're almost not necessarily irrelevant. They're built in. It's kind of like worrying about a tip in a country where gratuity is built in. You don't have to worry about it, not because they don't take tips, but because that's already factored in. Your action will be factored into your energy. The energy will basically dictate what actions you need to take. But this is the point. You have to stay in your decision. And the only way to stay in your decision, the only way you can actually persist in your decision, because yes, you can say, okay, I decide this. What gets in our way, what often gets in our way of deciding, what often gets in our way of persisting in it, is the fact that the same situation will come up. It will arise. And the emotions of the past will arise. It's on autopilot. And you have to be able to bear those emotions, release them, process them, let them go, relax and calm, and then stick to your decision. What ends up happening and even this is part of an agreement. The idea that you can't process your emotions, that you can't deal with negative thoughts, that these things are out of your control, out of your power, and out of your ability to deal with. So therefore you have to do something to relieve it, which often continually remakes the cycle. Constantly reacting to your internal state instead of realizing that you aren't those things. You are actually the thing that observes those, and therefore you can never be affected by them. That belief, that singular faulty belief, you can't control your mind, you can't control your internal, your heart, your emotions, causes you to not be able to bear when a situation acts outside of how you want it, and therefore you drop your decision. Because to hold a decision is to be able to bear whatever comes until the reality changes how you want it. So your reality is based off of your vibration. Your vibration is based off your thoughts, beliefs, emotions. Your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions are based off of what you were raised on. To change it is to decide now, not in the present moment, that whatever it is, for whatever it is your life, it could be your entire life. Your entire life you want to be better. All areas of life are shitty. Or it could just be 1, 2, 3, or a little bit. You decide now what you want that life to be. You go research, you go look, you go meditate, you go reflect, you're like, well, what do I actually want that life to be? And you decide that, okay, now that I know what I want, this is my life. Once you do that, know that you've done most of the work. That what happens next is that your life will start to react. Things may be better, means maybe get worse. You may come up to different information. When you want to start to change your life and you make this intention that you will, or that it's already done, life starts to react. What your job is now is to maintain that. So whether you get new information about manifestation techniques, you don't change that thing. Whether life happens in such a way where something crazy that you didn't even think happened, or it's stuff that you've done in the past that caught up, you maintain it. And this is the work. Because when you maintain, when you stay firm, you're actually starting to change your beliefs. Because what your subconscious is waiting for you to do is your subconscious is waiting for you to react. It's waiting for you to do the same thing so you can replenish it. What you're interested in doing is you're starving that program. It's because when you react in the same way every single time, you're feeding something, you're growing something, you're gardening something. And the typical things are things you don't want. For you to actually stop, you have to stop watering them. And that's when you change your reactions, when you stay into your decisions. Okay, this is going to be it no matter what. Over time, you'll find something interesting. One, you'll stop reacting the same as intensity. Two, when you stop reacting, you actually find those thoughts that always come in that seem to block that decision. All these thousands of thoughts, right? They start to slow down. You start to be able to perceive them. And you also start to be able to disassociate, realizing, okay, well, that's just a thought. I don't have to give that thought any energy. I'm gonna give the decision I made the energy. I'm gonna switch it over. And then, and this is the process, this is the manifestation process, that event in the physical world changes. And it'll happen what feels like miraculously, because you won't even think like you would do. Like you'll when people say manifestation is easy, or life is easy, or life was meant to be easy, what we're saying is when you're in your right mind, when you're in your right heart, when you have the right beliefs, shit just happens. Shit happens in ways you actually can't conceive, and that's what makes it magical. That's what magic is. The inner magic. That's what it means when you are magical, is that you can have a good, wonderful, joyous life, but it costs you something, and the thing that costs you is your old belief system. You have to let go of being right about how life is, how shitty life is, how much life sucks, how hard your life is, how much you've suffered, because those are the things that get in the way. Because when you get attached to them, well, you need life to be that way for you to identify as it. And which is why even if you got the good thing, it will start to disrupt who you believe you are. You have to start to have a new identity, say who you really are. And for that, that's where studying metaphysics, studying spirituality helps. Studying to realize that, oh, I'm not just this physical body, I'm this soul, I'm this energy, I'm this being created from the divine, a part of the divine with all the powers of the divine, just on a different magnitude, which means I'm not stuck. I was never stuck. I was never born a certain way, forced a certain way, and will die a certain way. I am infinite energy. So these things help to sort of form these sort of ground to grow the new life. So you can get your life. You can have the life you want. You very much can have the life you want. But first you have to decide you want it. And then you have to stick to the decision. And then when you stick to the decision, you have to realize all the ways in which you get real subtle, all the ways in which you've kind of undercutted yourself because of the beliefs of society, your parents, your religion, your school system. That basically tells you what you can't do and what you don't deserve. I'm here to say that you deserve everything and you can do it all. Now you just have to tell yourself that.